Now today's video is all about the Aston Martin DB12. Now today we're going to be looking at the whole installation from start to finish of an absolutely beautiful custom sound system. My name's Amir, sit back, relax and enjoy this video.
So guys, this part of the video is where we're going to listen to the system before we have touched it. So one of the first things we do when we start on a vehicle is get the equalization set as 0, basically a flat EQ coming out of that factory system. So one thing we did notice, and this is very important that we do this stage, because a client will always adjust what they want or what they're kind of missing from the car, and then that's why they end up here. So on this particular vehicle, the bass was turned up onto +10, we had the mids turned up a little bit and treble on 0. So we know this client is looking for a little bit more kick. This is actually the first time I've properly listened to a DB12. We've listened to lots of Aston Martins before, but this first time I've actually properly listened to a DB12. So I've already done some listening to it just to gauge exactly where I believe it needed to be and where it needs to get to get an understanding. And that's a very important thing. If I haven't listened to a car, I always like to spend a little bit of time just to listen to it on day one, just to make sure it's kind of ready, and I know what to expect when we do the final tuning. The guys will also do that when they start their work, to listen to any rattles when we're playing a couple of songs and stuff. So currently I've set everything to 0. I've also got the balance and fader all set, and on this car particularly you've got sound focus. So you've got one option as a surround sound, and then you've got one option as driver focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set on driver focus. Reason is because you've got the microphone set up here. When we do the listening post-production, once we've done all our work to the vehicle, we're going to be using the same setup. So we're going to have a microphone exactly the same way. We're going to play a couple of songs. You'll be able to hear hopefully the difference before and after, side by side. But for now, let's listen to a couple of tracks with you. Obviously these are just copyright-free songs, but it'll give you a good idea of how it sounds right now, and then we'll gauge kind of where we are when we're finished. But from listening to it already, I know it's going to be huge, the improvement on this car, because it doesn't sound great.
I've been looking for a place that I'd rather be. I've been searching for my own destiny. I raise my gun to the sky and scream out loud. This is my life, this is my hope, this is what I stand for. Now it's the time to let it all.
So that's half volume. Firstly, very incredibly quiet. I'm missing all the detail.
Wait on and on, and we're face to face. I've heard about you, you know about me. Already enough not to lose the game. The darkest night is always seen. Wait on and on, and we're face to face. I've heard about you, you know about me. Already enough not to lose the game. No way, no way.
And the clarity, volume is one thing. The definition just is lost completely. It's not there. It's not how that song should sound. I mean, that's full volume, and I'm still able to talk normally. That's flat out. That's not loud in here. So obviously volume is a huge problem here, because that's obviously our systems are not about kind of driving down the road and blaring your music, but I mean that is really, especially when you've got the engine going, you've got the road, you've got all the noise of everything, that is really quiet. And as soon as where you'd want to when you're driving, running that to kind of 3/4 or above, you're going to be, and interesting to analyse when we do, but the amount of distortion that you're going to be playing through this system is just stupid.
I've been looking for the place that I'd rather be. I've been searching for my own destiny. I raise my gun to the sky.
I think that is enough of that, because that is not pleasant. Obviously, the big thing is volume. Is one huge issue there, but the clarity, it just sounds very muffled in here. It's probably the easiest way to describe it. There's no definition, there's no detail. But that is all about to change. Let's crack on with today's video, guys. You guys are going to absolutely love this one. This is a really special spec on this Aston Martin. Obviously, incredible car, but the sound system is about to match. Behold the Cambridge Car Audio treatment.
Right, now that Ardle's done his nice short intro for us, we'll move on to actually stripping the car and getting it sorted. What's going into this car is going to be a full Thesis three-way front end. We've got 140 sheets of sound deadening, however I doubt we're going to be able to fit that, so we'll discuss with the customer and let them know exactly how much we get in, but in basic terms we're just going to fill the fucker. We're also going to be adding a two-way rear end. We're going to have the mid and the tweet. The mid we're going to be doing with the Thesis, and the tweeter we're going to, but just because we need it a bit smaller, we're going to be doing the Voce 2s. And we're also going to be trying to fit a sub in the factory location. There isn't a sub in there at the moment, however we will be trying to fit something behind there. We'll look at potentially replacement grills to get some airflow going out of there, and sort of in the centre console trying to fit a 10-inch in there maybe. If we can't do that, failing that, we'll potentially go into the boot, but it all depends on what we actually find when we're in there. Apart from that, we're just going to get this thing stripped. We've already done our checks and stuff throughout the car. We know that it's healthy, we know that what we've got to begin with. So yeah, we're just going to get started, get the entire thing stripped, and then we'll catch up when we're on the other side. So we've completely stripped the vehicle, we've got it all sorted. We've also been, as we've been going, cleaned this all up, hoovered it out and got it prepped for sound deadening, which is going to be our next step and first proper step. As you can see by a couple of the B-rolls that Albin's probably done, the factory sound deadening was just abysmal, to be honest. Half of it just wasn't stuck down at all, and there's a couple of bits here and there that are dotted around the vehicle that factory have decided that needs to be put in just to reduce rattles on a lot of large flat surfaces, and we started sort of looking into it and it all just peels off by hand. Pretty abysmal. So most of that we've actually taken off. Anything that is properly stuck down we've made sure is properly stuck down, and we're going to leave there, and we're just going to go over the top. It adds to our sound deadening, but anything that wasn't stuck down is just going to peel up and not actually do anything. So we're going to make sure all of our stuff is really stuck down. As I said, we've cleaned all the surfaces so we have a nice prepped area. And then we've also got the sub in the rear. This is going to have to be a fiberglass model. We've talked with each other and discussed with the customer about what its possible options are. As we said, we potentially would put it in the boot, but due to previous installs and stuff we've done, we've actually found out the 8-inch deep Legend fits really well there, and also just produces a very nice amount of bass in the cabin for you. As it's so close, we don't need much of a speaker, and being mounted straight to the bulkhead, it's going to transfer that bass right through. But to fit it there, we're going to have to do fiberglass modelling, and the entire thing is pretty much going to have to be fiberglass to try and get the correct amount of volume. The original factory sub, this one doesn't come with it, but the original one doesn't actually fit the 8-inch. It does fit technically, but the volume just isn't correct for it. So we'll have to remake a fiberglass piece for it, as I've done in the DB11 before. But apart from that, we will get the sound deadening on so we know final dimensions, and then potentially move on to the sub and other bits while we're going. But yeah, we'll get the sound deadening done and see you then. So as you can see, we've now taken a mould of the back of the actual face panel that goes in the back of the car. This is this one, and with these two now created with the internal mould of the car, we can put these two together with a little bit of help. And this gives us a general shape of the actual size and shape that we can mould to. Obviously this is going to be a slight bit different, and we have to work in and out of the car just to get that perfect. But now we can stick these two together, get the edges filled in and sorted, and then work on mounting the actual sub in. Right, so as you can see, we've skipped forward a slight step. I just needed to actually take a bit of precision and figure this one out. I've mounted a ring inside and fiberglass fillered it into place. This is spaced so that the speaker can go in, not hit the back, and not hit the front of the actual panelling in front. This took me longer than I wanted to, but it is now perfectly so that we are that far away from the back and that far away from the front. This sub only just fits. Obviously I have to do a lot of cleaning up on this sub. We have a big old hole in the top, we have holes in the side, and the front looks like a platypus's bill. We're going to cut this off, make sure there's a nice bit of filler in there, and this is nice and thick still, and then we're going to route this out so that it's nice and smooth and actually looks good. Potentially smooth it off, so just try and shape it out a bit more. We are going to carpet this in the end, just because it's going to be behind the actual panels, you're not going to see it, so we don't need to have a nice finish. However, we do want to just carpet it so that we're stopping it. If it is touching anything anywhere, we're just going to reduce the chance of rattles between plastic and fiberglass. This does have 4 bolting points on the back. The original sub actually bolts 2. I know this because of the DB11 that we've done previously. So this one we're going to keep the original 4 bolting points. These are just the 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm also going to be adding one in the bottom centre just to try and get as much base transfer as possible. We've obviously put the marine ply in the back to give the sub a nice transfer and bolting sort of attachment point to the sub box. This is going to allow the sub to actually sit in there and last a lot longer. But anyway, we're going to have to get on and fill all this, make it look nice and neat. We're going to cut off the end and just get cracking with this. Fill all the edges with some filler and then look at getting in the car. As you can see, we've gotten most of the sound deadening done. Rowan's just finishing off a little bit of that in the left-hand side. But now we can move on to actually getting the speakers in, of which Luke has been preparing for us. He's got most of these wired up and sorted, so we can now start getting them in the car without any worries. We'll start with the rears to talk about, as we have pulled these ones out of the rear quarters. They were just mounted into the actual chassis. We obviously have the mid and the small tweeter and the wires coming out the side, so we wanted to keep the original design. And we 3D printed a very similar piece as the original. Obviously same bolting holes and similar sort of mounting locations for the speakers. Obviously these are a little bit bigger, so we have to just move a little bit of metal away from the inside and move these down slightly. Also, nice little piece is just these plugs are in the same exact place. Looks very nice when they're in the car. These obviously are the Thesis mids and the Audison Voce 2 tweeters. These should give some very nice vocals in the background. Onto the mids in the front. We obviously had the original ones in the doors inside of this location. We have replaced it with a 3D printed adapter, which the mids screw into nicely, and we've taken the wires through the original locations again, trying to keep it as original as possible. The woofers are a big upgrade on this one. So the original ones are very thin, about 6.5 inch. Decent woofers, they actually put out a fair amount of bass for what they are. We are changing these for the Thesis. These are chunky old speaker that put out a nice amount of smooth bass. The mid bass coming out of these is beautiful, of which we have mounted into the original location using our 3D print again. This is just a nice little adapter we made up. We did have to actually extend this one out a bit further. The usual thing that we put in these is the Miele Legends. However, we've managed to fit the thesis in these just by giving it a little bit of extra room, of which shouldn't actually take up too much room in there. We have put the nice grills on the front just because this is going to protect the speakers as we are moving it slightly further forwards, and we don't want anything to accidentally kick through them. The tweeters in the front, obviously we are going to be putting the thesis tweeters in there. The original ones, as you can see, nice and small, nice and neat, go under the location in here. We're going to be getting those out later. For now, we can start getting all these in the car, and we can move along with getting amps wired, finishing off all of our wiring for our speakers and everything, and getting some power to our amps, and yeah, moving along with it. So with the sub box in, and a lovely sealed sub box that it is, that is all of our speakers in and done. Obviously you can see all of our sound deadening is most of the way there. We've completely filled the cabin, completely filled the doors. I think we are 80 something sheets in, 90 sheets in. We obviously still have a fair amount of sound deadening to do. That is going to be in the back though, and obviously wheel arches and things like that, and then panels as we put them in. So with the sub box, it obviously fits behind the panel very tightly, hence why we have carpeted it. We want to just add this little bit of padding so that it's not plastic on fiberglass or filler, as that will just create rattles and everything. This sits behind the panel. As you will see, the panel sits roughly about there, so we're going to get most of the transfer audibly through that, and this is very solidly bolted to the car. So this will give a nice bassy transfer right through the car. I heard something vibrating right at the front when I smacked that, so that's a very good thing. This being in the front here obviously is going to give a nice transfer to the driver, who's obviously just in front of where I'm going to be sitting. And we have these lovely pieces in as well, and I'm waffling a little bit. With that all complete though, I'm going to leave the rest of the boys. They've got amp mounting and wiring to do. That all needs to be run. It's obviously run into doors already, however it all needs to be run to the back, and we're actually going to be mounting the amps at the back here, just because we aren't removing the original factory amps like we usually do with these models. The DB12 cannot have the optical box relay put in, which means that we can't get rid of the original amps and put ours there. So we've moved them up here, and we're going to have a nice display piece from the boot, just a little access panel. We are, however, putting the DRC in the centre, and I'm going to leave the boys to it as I have a wedding to run to. It's my sister's wedding, I've got to go. I'm going to leave them to it, but this is all possible simply due to the fact of how we store our products and everything on the shelves. We've got everything labelled up, so it's nice and easy just to put everything back in. You come to a panel and all the bolts and everything are with it. I've also been taking videos and everything as I've been going, and we have group chats of how we've deinstalled and installed everything. So everything's nice and easy to put, and they shouldn't have any problems taking over. But yeah, I'll leave you guys there and hand it over to Luke and Rowan and maybe someone else. as you can see, we're going to start putting this back together. I'm obviously back from the wedding. I've had a bit of a haircut, and the boys have done nothing. No, they've been busy. They've done the wiring for the amp. They've got that all set up. That's on the back shelf, and we've finished off the sound deadening in the rear there as well. And we've started sound deadening panels like these. So we've got the rear quarters fully sound deadened. We've sound deadened the centre panels, and we're sound deadening all the other panels to go in, just to stop any of those sort of plastic pieces from rattling and moving about. There's a lot of open panels. They are all screwed in and tight. However, we just want to reduce that risk of them rattling or moving about with now the sub in there. However, yeah, as you can see, we're going to start getting this all back together. We've already got the quarter panel in. We need to get all of this all back together. We need to cover up those amps and get it all sorted, and then we can move on to tuning and finishing this baby off.
So, what an incredible build and what an incredible car. The Aston Martin DB12 is complete. The team have done an absolutely ridiculous job getting this car to where we are. And I don't say this very often, this could be one of my favourite spec systems. There are levels and then there are other levels. The system that you've seen go into this Aston Martin DB12 is an absolute masterclass of what we do. The reason why people travel all over the world, all over the country to us is for this. What this client went through in terms of a spec, the way we carried out all the work on the car, the way we managed to get the gear that we have done into the car is all just incredibly special. So let's start off with the most difficult part of this install probably. Well, there's two very complex parts to it, but one of the most complex parts of this install, and this is a world's first to be done. And I don't know if it can be replicated anywhere else other than in our workshop, but what we've got here is, obviously you've seen today's video where I was going through everything. We've got a full autosynthesis three-way front end. So we've got a tweeter, a mid-range and a mid-bass all in factory locations. That is exceptional firstly by itself, but the tweeter, we went through with the client because I wasn't sure how this would happen, and we basically advised the client they would probably have the autosynthesis grill up on top. Obviously they do a new grill which looks quite nice, but it would sit on top and one visual change on the system. However, what we've managed to do is actually keep the original grill. That is absolutely spectacular. It might seem like a very small thing, but having a full stock look at the top end of that dashboard is just beautiful. It matches with the other grills. I didn't really want to be changing that grill to the Thesis grill, even though the Thesis grill is lovely, but having that stock look with an autosynthesis tweeter inside that location is absolutely phenomenal. The amount of work, the amount of skill, the amount of patience, the amount of broken tools we went through to get that in that position is just, it's just on a whole other level. So we've got autosynthesis tweeters up on top of the dash, creating that really gorgeous high-end frequency coming from them. Inside the door, we've got the mid-range. So inside this location, in factory location, this has the autosynthesis 3-inch mid-range, and this speaker is doing a stupid amount of work. A mid-range in a system, basically what it does is it takes the strain away from a tweeter and mid-bass. So if your vehicle doesn't have a mid-range in a vehicle, it's well worth adding because it takes that strain away and it makes everything sound a lot more natural, a lot more free, and just more relaxed in terms of a sound, which makes sound a lot nicer. So that's gone in, and everything that we've used is on 3D printed adapters and brackets. So this car can actually go back to stock with no damage done. It can be reversed and put back to as it was, and we wouldn't even know we'd been there. The mid-range has gone into that stock location. Then we've got the 6.5-inch mid-bass down in the footwells, again, stock locations. Rear speakers, we've gone for an Audison Thesis 3-inch mid, which sits in that rear quarter panel, and then we partnered that with the Audison Voce 2 tweeter, just to give rear feel and a rear balance, and also added more clarity to the rest of the system. The next big challenge on the vehicle, so one challenge was obviously the tweeters, the next challenge was the sub. This vehicle had the basic audio system, so it didn't have the Bowers & Wilkins system that Aston Martin offer. What that basically meant is the panel that was behind, in between the two seats, where the Bowers & Wilkins sub would have sat, there is nothing behind there, and it's just a leathered panel that sits covering that area. What we've done is we've actually ordered in the Bowers & Wilkins grille. We've fabricated that to be able to be sat inside that original panel. We've also done that in a gloss black to match the rest of the interior. We've then also built a fully custom enclosure for the Hertzmüller Legend 8-inch subwoofer, which is an absolutely insane sub. Yes, it is small, it's an 8-inch sub, but there is zero loss of space. There is no loss of boot room. There is no loss of anything. It is all factory look. So the only cosmetic change we've done on the car is an Aston Martin genuine part. That is the only change we've done, and we've basically gone from that leather panel to that grille. It looks incredible in here. It looks as though it came out of the factory like this, but it does not sound that way. It sounds absolutely phenomenal. The guys have done a wicked job tuning the car, getting it to where we are. I've had a listen to it already, so I'm really excited. Later on in today's video, I'm going to be actually sitting inside the car with you guys, and you can listen to how bonkers this car sounds. While also being in the car, what we've also carried out is a seatbelt colour change. We've gone from a black to a black and green just to match with the outside of the car. We've also added in a product called Target Blue Eye. So both those products, the seatbelt colour changes and the Target Blue Eye, are part of our other brand, CBS Automotive. It basically covers full vehicle customization. So it's just like we've got a Bentley that's just been dropped off for a full sound system. You'll probably see that video at some point. That's also going to be taking part in an interior detail while the car is obviously apart. Obviously, this DB12 is a brand spanking new car. It's a 25 plate. It is brand new. So there was just a couple of those mods that the client wanted. Target Blue Eye obviously tells you where marked and unmarked cars are, which is quite a very popular upgrade that we do on cars. And then you've got the seatbelt colour change, which is a nice little twist away from the black. So I mean, overall, a complete transformation. We've got 2 amps power in the system with a DSP. So we've got, again, really cool. We've done that into the little shelf down at the back here area, so there's no loss of space, again, in the boot area, which is just absolutely phenomenal as well. Everything's very serviceable, everything's very easy to access for when we need to, if we ever do, and also to remove the system, that is possible as well. The client, obviously being a brand new vehicle, you would expect this car to have a really good sound system from stock. As many of you, if you've never listened to one or owned one of these cars, you'll know. However, very, very, very disappointing. This was the first time actually I listened to one of these properly. I spent a bit of time listening to it, understanding what the system was and kind of where the flaws in the system are. And we've actually had quite a few phone calls on the DB12 platform, hence why obviously today's video, to give you guys a bit more of an understanding about what we do, how we do it, and what we get to the level we do on the DB12. This is a phenomenal upgrade, and also what this client was really bothered by was the amount of rattles and road noise that the vehicle had. So unlike some of his other vehicles that he's had, this actually, one thing that really bothered him was just kind of the unwanted noise, and you get this quite a lot, that just the overall rumble and road noise and stuff that's not really wanted. You want to be hearing the engine, you want to be enjoying the sound system, and those unwanted noises were just all over the place and taking over and giving the client a bit of a headache, which we hear quite a lot, and that is why we do what we've done. Obviously, sound system has been sorted. That sounds absolutely incredible now, but one thing that we have done is fully acoustically deaden the vehicle. This is using a Skins 3mm layer. You've seen the wheel arches being done. We've also acoustically deadened across the entirety of the vehicle. We've got 143 sheets into this vehicle. It is absolutely top to toe covered. Every nook and cranny that could be covered is, it sounds so much more solid for that, and also it sounds incredible, and the better acoustic environment that that's built as well is just absolute transformation. So I mean, like I said, probably one of my favourite specs, and the reason why that is because Audio-Synthesis is, as a speaker range, is my go-to. Obviously, amplification is the Audio Forza range, so there are better amplifiers available. They obviously take up space, so it's always a bit of a compromise, these things. But this is a really, really nice solution to keep everything as a stock look. But the way we've managed to have our team work in such a way to be able to get a solution for a client, and actually he's not seen the vehicle yet. When he does pick up the vehicle, he is actually expecting to see the Audio-Synthesis grills there. But what we've managed to do is get them retained with the factory ones, which is just phenomenal. The amount of work, the amount of willpower, the amount of engineering knowledge that goes through into getting these cars correctly reinstalled, correctly deinstalled, and also coming up with solutions. Obviously, we're faced with challenges and problems throughout every install. We obviously communicate that via a group chat with our clients. If there's any decisions they need to make about, so like things like the controller location for the DRC to control sub-level, those sorts of things we communicate with the client, or if we come across anything that we need to inform the client about, it's important that we keep in contact with the client throughout the process. Obviously, these things are not an overnight job. These things take a hell of a lot of time, but it's worth spending the time for the finished results. And on that note, so let's jump inside the car, have a listen, and enjoy the system.
And here we are. This is the moment you've all been waiting for, to listen to the final results of the system. So obviously I'm sat in the passenger seat. The reason is because we've got some presets saved on the equalization stage, which basically means that everything is driver staged. So we've got the alignment set, so we're in the listening position, and we've got my little buddy here who's going to be that's what you're going to be listening through the system on. So this is the time in the video where you need to grab a decent pair of headphones, proper home system, something that to properly listen to the system on. If you're listening to a phone, it's just not going to cut it. You're not going to be able to hear what I'm hearing right now. Even still, you're never going to be able to appreciate how good it is without listening to it in person, but this will give you a good idea because it absolutely rocks. So I'm going to play a couple of tracks, I'll shut up for a few minutes, and you guys will just be able to enjoy the final results of this absolutely epic system in the DB12.
For a place that I'd rather be, I've been searching for my own destiny. I raise my gun to the sky and scream out loud. This is my life, this is my hope, this is what I stand for. And scream out loud. This is my life, this is my hope, this is what I stand for. Now it's the time to let it all.
Not to lose the game. The darkest night is always seen. Wait on the nothing, we're face to face. I've heard about you, you know about me. Already enough not to lose the game. The darkest night is always seen. Wait on the nothing, we're face to face. I've heard about you. Already enough not to lose the game. The darkest night is always seen. Wait on. Whole nother level this.
I used to dream about money, about a big house, but all I want is you. Your touch of fire when you love me, desirable, attainable, yeah, all I want is you. We are all the same, fame, attention, confirmation. Why do we care?
It's just,
I left my job, my boss, my car, and my home. I'm leaving for a destination I still don't know. Somewhere nobody must have beauties and all. And if you like this, you can follow me. So let's go, follow me, and let's go to the place where we belong and leave our troubles at home. Come with me. We can my paradise of love and joy, a destination unknown, known.
I absolutely love this. It's phenomenal. The level of gear you can tell is there. Everything is so special in every note that's being played.
I've been lost here, neath the neon lights. The cold of the cars burning my eyes. I still see it sometimes. I've been calling out for your name.
I'm near enough getting goosebumps here. He is phenomenal in this car. The sound, the staging, that even sat in this seat. Obviously, the system is now time aligned to the driver, but even sat in this seat here, it just sounds incredible. The definition, the depth, the control, the quality of products is so present there that you can tell that is a serious setup. The sound deadening work that's been done to control it all. You can literally, sat inside this seat here, I can literally feel the difference. Like, you can feel the presence of everything that we've done on the car. It's so apparent. It's so drastic from where this car came into. Remember, I sat in this car for a good while, listening to the system to understand kind of where the problems were, where kind of the lack of issues were with the original system, and from where it was then to here, and I played the same tracks then, the difference is just huge. Like, there's no other word to describe it. It's phenomenal. The Aston Martin DB12 is a gorgeous car. Sound system was really letting it down. That's all changed. This DB12 is now ready to hit the road with the Cambridge car audio treatment. It looks sublime in here. It sounds even better. What a way to wrap up an install. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.